You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
The options market can be a confusing place. Sorting through the daily avalanche of data, alerts, updates, articles, and analysis to find the most important information is an overwhelming prospect. But now you have help. Welcome to the Options News Rundown, the only program that breaks through the noise to bring you the most important news and information from the world of options. Every day, we bring you the top 5 option stories curated by the options experts at theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by LevelTradingField.com, the online communication, research, and quantitative platform with the largest collection of financial tools for traders, including the innovative Bitcoin Market Predictor. The Bitcoin Market Predictor is a simple prediction game where 10 people place bets on the future price of Bitcoin, and the top 3 most accurate predictions wins. Sign up at LevelTradingField.com with promo code INSIDER. The Options News Rundown is also brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in options trading education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's Live Advantage Group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider. And now it's time to break through the noise. It's time for your Options News Rundown.
Good morning. Today is Monday, January 28th, 2019. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Our first story today is from investing.com, and it's the top 5 things to know in the market on Monday. The first is Trump is skeptical on the border wall deal. U.S. President Donald Trump said another government shutdown is certainly an option, as he expressed skepticism that Congress would reach a deal to fund a wall on the southern border with Mexico as he requested. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal on Sunday, Trump said there is a less than 50% chance such a deal could be reached before the next government funding lapse on February 15th, which is less than 3 weeks away. His comments followed a bill on Friday to end a 35-day partial shutdown of the U.S. government, which was the longest in history. Building a wall along the border with Mexico to keep migrants from entering the country illegally was a central plank of Trump's presidential campaign, but Democrats are vehemently opposed and have rejected his funding request of $5.7 billion. The second thing to note today is U.S. futures point to a shaky open. U.S. stock futures pointed to a lower open at the start of what is expected to be an eventful trading day. Eventful trading week, as a matter of fact. That's as investors weighed the prospect of another government shutdown while awaiting the Federal Reserve's latest policy decision, as well as a new round of U.S.-China trade talks and a key Brexit vote. The third thing to note today is Caterpillar kicks off a busy week of earnings. About a quarter of the S&P 500 and nearly half the Dow stocks report earnings in the week ahead. That's as the fourth quarter earnings season gathers pace. Monday sees Caterpillar post results in the morning. The industrial giant, often seen as a bellwether for the global economy, is expected to report adjusted earnings per share of $2.98 on revenue of $14.3 billion. That's according to estimates. Results from Whirlpool and AK Steel are due after the close. The fourth thing to note today is oil prices slump. In commodities, oil prices were on the back foot after data showed that U.S. energy firms added rigs for the first time this year. In a sign that output could rise further, Baker Hughes reported Friday that the number of domestic rigs drilling for oil rose by 10 to 862 in the week to January 25th. U.S. West Texas crude futures were down $1.06 or about 2% at $52.63 a barrel. International Brent crude futures were at $60.45 per barrel, down $1.14 or around 1.8%. Venezuela is likely to stay in the headlines this week as turmoil in Caracas triggered concerns that its crude exports could soon be disrupted. And our fifth thing to know today is China industrial profits shrink again. Earnings at China's industrial firms shrank for a second straight month in December, the latest sign of further cooling in the world's second largest economy. Profits of big industrial companies fell 1.9% on year to 680.83 billion yuan, and that is about $100.94 billion. That's in December, the National Bureau of Statistics said, as faltering domestic demand and bruising U.S. tariffs weighed. The downbeat data points to more troubles ahead for the country's vast manufacturing sector, already struggling with a decline in orders, job layoffs, and factory closures as China's economic growth slows to its weakest in nearly 3 decades. Our second story today is from Investing.com. Rusal shares soar and aluminum falls as U.S. lifts sanctions. U.S. President Donald Trump's administration on Sunday lifted sanctions on the core empire of Russian tycoon Oleg Deripaska, including aluminum giant Rusal and its parent EN+, despite a Democrat-led push to maintain them. The move, which sent the Russian stock index to an all-time high, has watered down the toughest penalties imposed since Moscow's 2014 annexation of Crimea, following a lobbying campaign in the United States that lasted almost 10 months. Hong Kong shares in Rusal, the world's largest aluminum producer outside China, hit their highest since April on Monday, rising 9%. Aluminum prices on the London Metal Exchange dropped as much as 1.4% after the open. The sanctions had sent London aluminum to a 7-year high when they were announced in April last year, amid fears of a supply squeeze. Our third story today comes by way of Yahoo Finance. That's finance.yahoo.com. U.S. Treasury is set to borrow $1 trillion for a second year to finance the debt. The U.S. Treasury Department is set to maintain elevated sales of long-term debt to finance the government's widening budget deficit, with new issuance to top $1 trillion for a second straight year. Many strategists at primary dealer firms predict that this Wednesday's quarterly refunding announcement will see the Treasury maintain note and bond sales at the record high levels they have boosted them to in recent months. The total amount of 3, 10, and 30-year securities to be offered at next week's refunding auction is seen by most at $84 billion. While that's $1 billion more than the total for these maturities 3 months ago, that's only because the size of the 3-year sales was already nudged higher in December. A heightened supply of Treasury securities follows tax cuts and government spending increases implemented under the current administration. That's darkening a fiscal outlook already made worrisome by rising entitlement program expenses and higher costs to service America's nearly $16 trillion in debt. The Federal Reserve's balance sheet runoff is also adding to supply, forcing Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin to tap the public for more funding. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is news you can use for today, Monday, January 28th, 2019. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Trade smart and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Options News Rundown. To learn more about these stories or any other developments from the world of options, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for free options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in option trader education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's live Advantage group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider.
The preceding program was a production of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.